Ooh, that's a good brew. I wonder where it came from, though. Do you have any ideas? Hello, everyone. Long time no see, and we shall talk about tea. Yeah, that was bad. I'm sorry. Anyways, this is the first video watching. Hi, my name is Tanish. I am almost done with university, so that can no longer be a feasible part of my identity. Anyways, I am a final year student and I study at the University of Warwick. And today we shall be talking about tea, in particular, masala chai. In case you don't know what masala chai is, you can unsubscribe and go. Bye. I'm kidding. No, go. Masala chai is essentially this tea that's brewed in milk with a lot of spices. It's very common and it's actually a symbol for just like people working in India because the afternoon tea break, all you usually have is masala chai with rusk, which is like this special kind of biscuit that pairs amazingly well with masala chai. So, the history of masala chai was very interesting to me because I've always taken it as granted, as a given. So, it was like, wait, this had to come from somewhere. I don't think tea was like native to, or like tea was extensively grown in India, so it had to have come from somewhere, right? So maybe someone nice and like who wanted to share this magic of tea with everyone they saw. No, it was brought by colonialism and capitalism. Yeah, it seems a bit harsh, but I will explain. So, how is it linked to colonialism? You might ask. For that, we need to rewind a little bit to 19th century India and actually 19th century England. So, as is commonly perceived and known, tea is an integral part of British culture, and like it's like the afternoon tea is ubiquitous in terms of like maybe not ubiquitous, but it's an integral part of British high society. So in the 19th century, the prices of tea were kind of spiking up because the English procured their tea from the Chinese and the prices of Chinese tea were going up. There was a little bit of a skirmish. I don't know if you guys have heard of the Opium Wars. Let's not get sidetracked into that. But there was considerable disputes and just bad blood about, tea. And yeah, I don't know why someone would get salty and mad about tea because it's so amazing. And anyways, so at that point, the English realized there is an opportunity to utilize one of the colonies that they've got, India, which on the hills of Assam, which is a northeastern state in India, they have climates that are perfectly suited for cultivating tea. So in the early 19th century, as the prices of tea were spiking up, the British incentivized and pushed production of tea in India. The Indian Tea Association came into existence, which was essentially a tea trading association, which was of the British owned tea plantations, and they went really into like pushing tea out into the masses because they had a lot of tea. By virtue of how it's cultivated, you end up with a lot of tea. You can't just have like 5 tea plants and that's it. No. So because they had a lot of supply, they wanted the requisite amount of demand. Hashtag economics. Anyways, so at that point, even though the UK tea market was pretty big, it really couldn't satisfy the demand required for the amount of tea that was being produced in India. So the Indian Tea Association was really trying to push it as a thing that should be consumed by everyone, by the common person on the streets. Just, it's so amazing. They were like, oh, here you go. We're gonna give it to you because it's so amazing and we want to share the magic of it. It's totally not because we have extra supply and we just want to get rid of it and we don't want it to go bad and our business to go bust. And no, we're amazing people like that. So I managed to get in touch with Miss Jane Pettigrew, who was the director at the UKT Academy, and she's a prominent tea historian. And she highlights the massive advertising campaigns and like incentives offered to the Indian market to and traders in the Indian market to actually sell tea to the common people. It was expected that the tea wasn't too expensive, like uh the standard price for a packet of tea being offered would be like 1 paisa. It's like a tiny packet, and 1 paisa is like 100th of a rupee, which is a fair amount of money, but not too expensive that it's unattainable. However, this idea of just having a plain brew of tea as the English tend to enjoy it was something that really didn't catch on with the Indian populace. The kind of drinks that we usually have in India are heavily dairy based because if you look at it, buttermilk, lassi, chas, masala chai now, all of them have this milk element to it because it's efficient, in my opinion. This is me thinking about it because if you're going to have a drink, it should also be something that kind of sustains you through the workday and gives you some sort of energy till your next meal. So there's usually not that many like just plain brews or infusions or water-based teas, stuff like that. So as you can tell, the concept of just plain brewed tea didn't really catch on. Members of the elite in India, especially around the Bengal area, kind of did take to drinking the brewed tea, but no one else really did. However, history works in amazing ways. Somewhere along this route, some tea vendors probably began to improvise how they brewed the tea because they had the tea and they needed to sell it. So you have to come up with something to make sure that people actually find it palatable and they come back for more. So what they did was a few things. One of the things that they did was they used the same tea leaves for multiple brews in an attempt to keep the costs down. However, that meant that the tea kind of lost a lot of its natural flavors. So, to overcome this, they began to incorporate milk, sugar, and spices as they boiled the tea, which kind of preserved the tea flavor. It was still pretty prominent because of how long the tea kept boiling. If you ever go to a place that does chai or masala chai, you will see how long the tea keeps on boiling and steeping, which really brings this rich flavor to the final masala chai. And the addition of the sugar and spices meant that the tea flavor in itself wasn't too strong because clearly that was something that hadn't been too popular among the market. So probably through this refining of processes, experimentation, so on and so forth, that took place over the course of history, the thing that we came to know as masala chai kind of came into being. How did it become such a big thing though. I mean, we've clearly spoken about how people didn't really like chai, and the first impression of chai was essentially lousy. So, how did it go from there, from this infusion that no one really drank, to something that is essentially the lifeblood of the country today? So, remember that thing I mentioned when there was a lot of supply and there wasn't enough demand for tea? So the Indian Tea Association, that lobbying group of like the massive tea plantation owners, they did a lot of lobbying, and especially with like factory owners and manufacturers, to bring into existence the tea break that is so common in India now. So essentially they lobbied for a break in between lunch and like closing time, so that workers could take a break, have a glass of tea with some biscuits or something, and then get back to work. So that created a gap during the day where you can't fit in a proper meal, but you need something to sip on, and masala chai was quickly becoming a viable option for that. Further, in the 1930s, this concept of CTC, which is cut, turned, and curled tea, came into existence. It was essentially like this interesting texture of tea, but it was much, much cheaper because these kinds of tea leaves were usually produced from the tea leaves that weren't going to be used for like loose leaf teas that you might be familiar with. So the production cost was cheaper because they're essentially reutilizing the offcuts and the things that wouldn't have made it into a loose leaf tea. And that is how capitalism comes into play, because you have a trade group that's lobbying, you have reutilization of the offcut waste materials of the tea, and colonialism and capitalism combine, do it all together, and then we have masala tea. I know it kind of felt a bit icky to me to admit that the tea drink that I love so much is a product of the colonial era, but I guess that's how food works. It adapts, it overcomes, and then the meaning that we attach to it becomes something else over the course of time. I still love masala chai, don't love colonialism, but masala chai is masala chai. Anyways, that was it from my end for this video. Let me know what you think and let me know what I can talk about next. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed watching. Tell me what's your favorite loose leaf tea, because I'm kind of ambivalent about that. And subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys next time.